What's up, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Aerons, and it is the Wrestle Plug YouTube channel once again, and it's Thursday, and normally we don't really drop much content other than our wrestling news podcast, but I thought I'd give you a cheeky little Brucey bonus, and something that I'm hoping to cover a lot more going forward, NXT UK. And the reason I wanted to dip back in is because being a Brit, and being somebody who's spent quite a bit of time on the BritWres scene, whether that be as a ring crew member or even taking part as a talent, I feel like the identity of NXT UK very much is ingrained in everything that I love about wrestling. And even though it's been a difficult and turbulent time for NXT UK and the British wrestling scene, I feel that the current talents on this roster, for the most part, deserve a lot of love, and particularly the women's side of things. And of course, this show was headlined by a titanic clash for the NXT UK Championship. However, the undercard was fantastic, and I'll tell you what I love about this show. It's about an hour long. That's great. Easy to watch, easy to digest, and hopefully very easy to cover, so I won't be wasting too much of your time. Unbesiegbar, Ilya Dragunov facing Sam Gradwell, who last time I saw him was this big unit of a man, but quite pasty. All of a sudden, he's become some very hench-looking rocker, punk rocker, so to speak. Got a bit of a James Castle vibe going on about him. I like it. Sex Pistols, all that kind of stuff. These two guys had a knockout fist fight. This was incredible. This is probably the closest thing I've seen to a good representation of MMA style in wrestling. And when you consider how many great mixed martial artists and legitimate fighters WWE has utilized and even has right now, that's no mean feat. Ilya Dragunov, for me, feels so legit. That should be his nickname, really. Legit. Because he just feels so real. Wrestling in the modern era, for me, struggles to really make me suspend my disbelief, of course, being a miserable old man as I am. I'm in my mid-30s, and you get to a certain age where you just watch it for the entertainment aspect, but you know what you're watching is, at best, a very loose sense of entertainment. No longer is there the real kayfabe ability. It's very difficult to be a mark in this era, but you can watch stuff like this and you can get drawn in. It was physical, it was violent, it was fantastic. Sam Gradwell is actually really underappreciated as a worker. People are going to look at Unbesiegbar. Obviously, he had the opportunity to wrestle Finn Balor last year at NXT Worlds Collide. That's where our North American watchers will probably recognise him from, but I love this match. What an opener. What a physical opener as well. And a good storyline too. A lot of people have said, it's just a load of isolated matches. That's not true on this current brand from the BT Studios. Sam Gradwell trying to lure Unbesiegbar, Ilya Dragunov, into a new kind of character of sorts, almost trying to bring out the monster within, showing him that you're not a good guy at all. And of course, at the end of the match, he kind of snaps, batters Gradwell half to death. The referee has to stop the contest, which I love. There aren't enough stoppages as well, and that's what really lent itself to that MMA environment. And of course, after the match, Gradwell's grinning, looking like a proper evil bastard, and Ilya Dragunov, some fantastic acting here. Made you genuinely believe that he was upset. Made you genuinely believe that he made a mistake. He was trying to apologise to the referee that he had accosted. And obviously everyone was like, no, just get back to the locker room. And I thought it was fantastic. I really did. It's not without its faults, though, the brand. Now, they had a lot of, not riffraff, but stuff, promos, vignettes, things of that nature. And some of it was really good. They had a hype, obviously, for next week's matches, which they do really well. They didn't spend 30 or 40 minutes like a Raw can just waffling on. Got straight to the point. Isla Dawn, for instance, had this fantastic little vignette where she's gone into a kind of spiritual mode. And it's something that I know that she's very interested in herself. And obviously she's stunning in the way that she presents herself. She's a beautiful woman. And she's also a legitimately great wrestler. And she's looking at the Ouija board and the crystal ball. And all of a sudden there's this image. And it's the card. And it says the priestess. And that makes you wonder what's next for Isla Dawn. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing what they do with that. They also had a vignette for a guy I was not expecting to see. Lucky Kid, now known as, I believe, Teoman. And he looked fantastic. Great promo. I've always known that Lucky Kid can speak very good English, and that actually lent itself very well to this promo, but he's got that real, authentic European vibe. And the use of so many German wrestlers, so many ex-WXW talents, or current WXW talents, because I believe they're still allowed to use them on a minimal capacity when they're running shows. is a really good sign for this brand. It's not just, hey, here's a load of BritWres guys. Actually, it's pretty much a European brand. And of course, it has to be because it's the only real WWE European base of operations right now. Although it wouldn't surprise me if they venture out further on. But it was great to see Lucky Kid being hyped. He's coming next week as Tearman. We also had the hype for the first ever mixed tag team match. It's going to be Piper Niven tagging up with Jack Stars, who just kind of got dragged in. Just the opportune moment. He happened to be standing there and she was like, you, come here, little man. I thought that was kind of fun. They're going to be wrestling Ginny and Joseph Connors. And it's kind of nice to see that Joseph Connors has almost transitioned into a managerial role in some ways, because I know Joseph Connors fairly well in terms of his work rate and credibility. I've seen him wrestle so many times live, and he's always been renowned as a proper workman's wrestler, a really solid work, he's a ring general. And now he's kind of flexing himself a little bit more character-wise, and Ginny, for me, is masterful. A little bit surprised Ginny hasn't been called up to the main roster yet. Maybe it's her size, but she's incredible. There are very few people in the world who can talk and entertain and condescend in the way that Ginny does, and she's utterly stunning to look at. She really is a fashionista. She's everything that she says she is, and that's why I like this brand, actually, because everyone presents themselves in a way that feels believable and real. I believe that Ginny is a fashionista because she is, and I believe that she can slap the taste out of my mouth because she absolutely can, and that's really important when I'm watching wrestlers and they are conveying their character. And the reason I mention this is because the one dud of the show for me was this awful Supernova Sessions segment. Now, I saw one with Sha Samuels, which was great, and I thought, cool. This week he had Tyler Bate as his guest, and I thought this was hot garbage. And it's not because I don't like, the Supernova himself or Tyler Bate. It's because it just was awful. Now, Tyler Bate is not renowned as a big character. Tyler Bate is a world-class athlete, a wrestler, classically trained. This is a guy who genuinely could be the future of wrestling. But WWE have got to get their stink all over it. And they're like, hey, Tyler Bate, how's it going, bud? How about a gimmick? Okay, what you got for us? Well, we want you to be a Zen master. What is this? What is this trash? It's awful. When the segment was delivered, it was too cheesy. It was too camp. It went way beyond the fun of the old school British game show, which is kind of what they're going for. Hey, welcome to Parkinson. It's that kind of thing. But it just felt so carny and so tacky, and it just went too far for me. And he's giving him broccoli and he's dumping salad on. I thought these are really boring, easy, cheap tropes, whatever you want to call them. And I just thought it was very fucking niche and incredibly condescending and incredibly stupid. Too far. I don't mind being condescending at that because that's the idea of Noam Dar's character, but it just felt cheap. And actually, him trashing the set at the end was very much a very good metaphor for how I felt watching this garbage. The tag team match was excellent. Really enjoyed that. Kenny Williams and Amir Jordan, my namesake, shout out to him. Fantastic guy, great, full of colour and character. They took on a rather interesting tag team, actually, Ashton Smith and Oliver Carter. And this is my first chance to see Oliver Carter on a mainstream program. Somebody I've raved about for so long on the podcast, actually. If you go back and listen to some of our original indie audio podcasts from many, many moons ago, I used to talk about how great Oliver Carter was, seeing him in Rev Pro and places of that nature. This was fantastic. What an actually great representation of high-flying wrestling that means something as opposed to just a load of throwaway flips. Thought it was brilliant. A little bit disappointed, actually, that more and more people don't pay attention to something like this, because I watched this match and I thought, okay, I'll watch AEW, which I enjoy, and they have matches like the Young Bucks and the Acclaimed and Top Flight and guys like that, and I thought, I don't think there's any difference between this match and that match. I thought it was excellent, it was high flying, it was great, and of course the plucky pairing of Amir Jordan and Kenny Williams get the win, because Williams is a bit more nefarious, and I quite like that. There's quite a good dynamic here. Williams is a bit of a cocky little Scottish shitbag, and Amir Jordan's the big, bubbly, happy guy, and love the Five Guys reference as well, because, man, I miss Five Guys. I really miss Five Guys. There was also one thing that I did neglect to mention, that, of course, is the fact that Nina Samuels is Xia Brookside's slave. They can use the term assistant, but ultimately I'm pretty sure she's not being paid to do that. Yeah, she was backstage with Aaliyah James. Saw a great vignette, by the way, for Aaliyah James, who is utterly beautiful, utterly incredible. Somebody I've seen. She's just exploded in her early fruition as a wrestler, and she is going to be big business. She's got the entire package. She's just got that it factor. You look at her and think, you got superstar written all over you. She's backstage with Zaya Brookside. Well, when I say backstage, I'm in an office in an undisclosed location. Probably in the tea room of the NXT UK Performance Centre. And she asked Nina Samuels to get them some tea, and Nina Samuels thinks she's clever by putting some salt in the tea. And then, of course, Lee James like, oh, no, I'm not interested, thanks. And Zaya Brookside takes the normal cup of tea, which leaves Nina Samuels with the salty cup of tea. Great. It's a bit cheap. But I like Zaya Brookside. I love Nina Samuels. I love all the women involved in this segment. Let's just be honest, right? Pun intended. Wasn't my cup of tea. Sorry. Just wasn't. The main event was very much my cup of tea. Meiko Satomura challenges Kaylee Ray, the longest reigning champion in WWE right now. 550 plus days as UK champion. Now, obviously you have to preface that with the fact that they spent pretty much a year on the shelf not being able to do anything because of COVID-19. That's not her fault. But that being said, they are making up for lost time very quickly. She's been in an array of fantastic world-class matches, including that match with Piper Niven, who challenged her, of course, for the NXT UK Women's Championship. And here we are with this colossal matchup. This really felt big time. This felt like it could main event any NXT pay-per-view, and we're getting it for free in the midweek. This is the kind of match where if you haven't bothered to sit down and watch this, or you don't plan on watching this, you're doing yourself a disservice. And don't come at me on social media and tell me how much of a huge fan you are of women's wrestling, and how you're all about this women's evolution and revolution and everything else, if you're not going to watch matches like this. This is tailor-made for a worldwide audience. Meiko Satomura is, for my money, one of the all-time greatest wrestlers, period. Never mind gender, period. She is fucking incredible. Absolutely world class. Her presentation, the fact that she made her debut in 1995, and here we are, all these years later, decades later, and she's still in physically prime condition. She can still go with everybody. I still remember her little turn in the Mae Young Classic. She had that incredible match with Killer Kelly, which means Steve just fawned over for so long. And I've seen Meiko Satomura so many times, and it never gets old. It really doesn't. And I'm hoping they use her during the WrestleMania season, because I feel like she's such a big enough star that she could really draw in a fantastic audience, particularly the Japanese audience as well. We're talking about a genuine legend here, and Kaylee Ray cemented her legacy further and really helped actually validate the long-term title run that she's had by beating Meiko Satomura in this match. This match was physical, it was athletic, it was violent, and it had great false finishes. Not without its faults. I can do without the ridiculously overbearing and loud referee. He needs to fucking tone it down. If I was in the building, I'd be like, look, mate, tone it down a little bit. I'm here to see the stars, not you. And I was always taught, if you're going to be refereeing a match, make yourself invisible. Get yourself low down and in the corner. He just kept shouting over the commentators, and I just thought, can you please be fucking quiet? But that's a small critique, and that has nothing to do with the world-class quality of these women's wrestlers. I love this match. This is genuinely an instant classic. This is the kind of match which will be in my match of the year candidates. And if you don't watch this, honestly, like I say, I feel like you're doing yourself a disservice. I don't want to spoil it for you. There's a few cheeky highlights above me, but all in all, you really need to go to the WWE Network and watch this. It's not about loving WWE, it's about loving good wrestling and supporting the best women's wrestling there is, and it really doesn't get much better than Kaylee Ray defending her title against Meiko Satomura. Mwah, mwah, mwah. French kisses everywhere. Gorgeous. This match was fucking phenomenal. Congratulations, ladies. And obviously, it's the kind of match which makes me think I need to be watching this more regularly. Next week, we've got Dave Mastiff versus Tyler Bate. Should be a great contest. You've got that intergender tag team match that I was talking about as well. Just a great deal of content for you to get your teeth into. And you know that it's only going to be an hour long, so you're not going to be overly saturated. And it is quite difficult to take in so much of this wrestling. But I find myself with a little bit of free time on a Thursday. So I'm going to hopefully continue to cover this every week, more so for you guys. Let me know what you guys think. Obviously, if you did watch NXT UK, it'd be great to know what you think. And if you haven't watched it, let me know why you're not watching it. Maybe there's a difficulty. I would love to get into why people aren't interested in watching a brand or why they are interested in watching a brand. And I'd like to share those thoughts on the screen in front of you right now, and obviously make sure that everybody has their say. For myself, Aerons, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, currently 20% off if you use this code at our Pro Wrestling Tees store. That's prowrestlingtees.com/WrestlePlug. I'll catch you very soon for more content from the WrestlePlug.